acting on our best behavior. Turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to rule the world. Some words of wisdom by Tears for Fears, the great song. Everybody wants to rule the world. And beautiful lyrics, once again, pull up all kinds of imagery. But those lyrics speak directly to the theme of this channel, the Shadow Teacher 33 channel, this channel that explores consciousness, human potential, and that which limits it. And one of the factors that limits our human potential is the shame and the guilt we carry, the heaviness of those emotions. And the shame that we carry much of the time comes from emotions and drives that we suppress, that we lock deep within the closet of our soul, and attempt to hide in the darkness of our shadow. Everybody wants to rule the world. Everyone has a drive to dominate, to control, to be important. That's part of what our ego does, part of what our ego does to keep us alive, to keep us safe. That's the other side of it. If we are valued, if we're seen as important, if we are seen as higher in status, then the chances of our safety being ensured is much higher as well. And so we've always all done things to elevate ourselves at the expense of others. We've all had desires and drives to conquer, to rule at the expense of someone else. And many of us, again, that's produced shame. And those of us with high drives to do so can produce a dark shadow of shame. And we also can project our shame outwards on others and condemn and judge others who are doing and living what in secret we desire to do ourselves. And that produces more incongruence, incoherence of our soul. Right now, I call out, I speak about an agenda of a global elite that very much intends to rule the world. Some would say they already do rule the world, but intends to ensure that rule. And many condemn them and judge them. But one thing I've found is I've found to look within myself and look to see, where does Klaus Schwab live within me? Or where does Bill Gates live within me? You know, these are just some names that get kind of thrown out with this agenda. But if I look deep enough, if I look honestly enough, I see there's a part of me that wants to rule the world. And I see there's a part of me that, if I had the same amount of resources and power, I wonder, would I do anything differently? Would I do anything different than someone else who I'm judging and condemning? And when we can look at ourselves in this way and give ourselves permission to feel this way, then that opens up consciousness, and it opens up a levity in the soul. It creates a bit of freedom, because you're now being honest with drives that you have in yourself and being okay with it. Now, that doesn't mean it's okay to act on these desires. Again, one of the spiritual laws is, if we are violating the will of others and the sovereign right for others to exist, then we are out of alignment with natural law, and then we will have to face the consequences for that. So just because we feel these drives of the ego doesn't mean it's right to act on them. And again, part of the work of the soul, I believe, the higher self, is seeing the ego. Is when we get in those transcendent spaces, when the big I comes through, part of the joy of the big I is seeing the little I that is us, that we believe to be our true self. And the big I thanks the little I for giving this experience of contrast and limitation, so the big I can experience itself in this unique point of consciousness that is us. And when we start to get that perspective, then it's much easier to surrender these feelings of shame and guilt and say, that's part of being human. It's part of being human to want to rule the world. It's part of being human to want to dominate and feel important. But there's something bigger out there. The bigger part of being human is reconnecting with that big I, that big creator that created all of this and is continuing to create all this and experience all this, and to acknowledge that and acknowledge the beauty of creation in other people and other expressions of consciousness. And when you see that, then you say, maybe I don't need to rule the world after all. Maybe the world is better with me just playing in it and participating in it. Participating in this grand play of consciousness and allowing others to live their lives as well. Maybe that is a better path for me. And when these drives of insecurity and need to rule the world that's based out of feeling small and insecure, when that comes up, I'm going to be okay with it, and I can let it go. I can feel it and breathe into it, then I can let it go and allow that space for this expansive feeling to breathe through me. So if you want to rule the world, more power to you. That's all good. Because everybody wants to rule the world. But can you be at peace with that drive and be at peace with yourself and be able to live in this level of joy and acceptance of yourself and others as you work out this winding road and path that your human soul has taken, and learn, if you do want to rule the world, do it in a very unique, expansive way that really expresses a great deal of human potential and adds great value to the life that is. So with that being said, I'm going to end this transmission. Be strong, be well, my friends, and I'll see you on the other side.